online.
Good morning, Arvind. How are things? Like they say, it's the morning after an ugly afternoon.
Yeah, well, I mean, I think you were talking about it. I think there was an overreaction on Monday and there was an overreaction on Tuesday. So I think we've had two interesting days, but I think, it helps to keep a long-term perspective in mind. The long-term perspective is that India got very expensive. Euphoria got too out of control. People thought that PSUs were the new, hot darlings of the market. And I think at the end of the day, maybe more reality is setting in. We invest in companies where we feel promoters' interests are aligned with shareholder interests for long-term value creation. And we'll have to see in the current coalition government what are going to be the new areas of emphasis and what is going to be the continuity. I mean, let's be clear that between yesterday or 2 days ago and today, there's going to be some change in what the government can, will, or be forced to do, and what it should do and what it will continue to do. And part of it is assessing, is the power sector shortages going to go away because of this or not be an issue? No, that'll continue. Is infrastructure suddenly going to become unfashionable? No, that'll still remain. But is there an employment problem in India? Was there a K-shaped recovery? And how will the new government, and including BJP, with or without coalition, react to the fact that it's got a loud and clear message that jobs and rural kind of lack of economic growth cannot just be solved by giving free ration to 800 million people. There needs to be more emphasis on some other things that need to happen, and how will that change?
Okay. Arvind, so what should one do? Use the decline to your advantage, because if you buy fear, it's always rewarding.
You buy fear, except, do I really want to buy PSUs? Because my belief is job creation, part of it should be done by national service by PSUs. I mean, at the end of the day, either the government has to run up a deficit and do some job creation on its own, or it has to continue, obviously, the PLI scheme and the infrastructure. But I think PSUs could be called to do national service. That's the good old history in coalition governments, that PSUs do national service to help make up for the difference in what the government can or cannot or doesn't want to take on its own budget to do. So I would say that some of these sectors, I certainly have not played PSU, so I missed the whole rally. I missed the sell-off, but I'm not going out there with both hands on that. But in private sector, specific companies that we like in individual sectors, I think rural-facing banks, are they going to be winners in this? I think they will be. Obviously, you've talked about FMCG and consumer goods, but anything that is rural economy facing could be a winner in terms of a greater emphasis on trying to figure out ways to make the rural economy feel not as left behind. And I think that's going to be an area that's going to be interesting to us going forward.
Arvind, morning. And, would the advice right now be that this potential extreme carnage that we witness, is it a buying opportunity maybe in some large cap stocks that offer interesting risk reward? Or is it just, sit on the sidelines and wait for the dust to settle?
I think, for long-term investors, sell-offs are always buying opportunity, and large cap private sector banks we like. We think that creates an opportunity to sell off yesterday. It really doesn't change the outlook for, an HDFC or an ICICI or, Axis or whatever. So those are, large private sector banks, Kotak. These are all high-quality banks, and India in growth story is going to require increased participation by private sector and lending, and therefore that's an opportunity that I don't think is going away. But there are other mid cap and small cap sectors like MFIs that could be interesting. I think some of the other sectors where we've seen big sell-offs, certainly in large and mid caps, we see opportunities. So we're not waiting for perfection, but we're going to be selective and not assume that everything that's sold off, the recency bias that everything that was 20% or 15% higher a week ago is a buy is not our view.
Okay, Arvind, great to have you on the show. Let's see which way the markets head today, and then perhaps we'll chat with you again.